My family. Forgot I existed until I bought a duplex. Then my brother needed a place to stay, rent-free. I said no, rented to strangers instead. Now, parents are parked outside with binoculars spying on me. There are three things my mom believes in more than oxygen: church potlucks, motivational throw pillows, and my older brother Brandon. She calls him my pride and joy, which would be touching if she didn't introduce me as our accident baby at family gatherings. Not even surprise. Accident. Like I was a fender bender in the Walmart parking lot that insurance wouldn't cover. Growing up, I was the spare tire, the backup generator. The kid you mention when someone asks, "Don't you have another son?" And you go, "Oh yeah, Josh, he's around somewhere." Brandon? He was the main event, the investment property, the heir to a legacy that consisted of a three-bedroom ranch and a riding mower Dad bought on credit in 2004. By the time Brandon hit 28, he had a wife named Melissa, twin daughters who looked like Gap Kids models, and a framed photo in every room of my parents' house, including the laundry room, above the detergent. Me? I was 30, single, and fixing water heaters while eating at Taco Bell in my truck at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. I wasn't bitter. Okay, I was extremely bitter. But I'd accepted my role. The low-maintenance kid who showed up when someone needed furniture moved or a ceiling fan installed. That's why when I started saving for a property, I told exactly 0 people. Not my parents, not Brandon, not even my buddy Derek, whom I'd known since 5th grade, and who once borrowed my Nintendo 64 and returned it with a boot print on it. Still don't know how that happened. I didn't want opinions. Didn't want my mom asking, "Are you sure you can afford that?" Or my dad doing the thing where he squints at me like I just said I was joining a cult. So I stayed quiet. For 2 years, I worked overtime, picked up weekend side jobs, and lived like a monk with a tool belt. My truck had 240,000 miles and a passenger door that only opened from the outside. I ate so much ramen, I started having noodle-based dreams. Every spare dollar went into a savings account I'd labeled, "Definitely not telling Brandon about this." Then, one Wednesday afternoon, while replacing a garbage disposal for a retired couple who paid me in cash and homemade cookies, I got the call. The duplex. It was old needed work. The front porch made a sound like a haunted ship when you stepped on it. But it was solid 2 units, upstairs and down 2 bedrooms, each 1 bathroom. Just enough character to be charming and just enough problems to keep the price reasonable. I closed on it that Friday. No co-signers, no family loans. Just me, a mortgage I could actually afford, and a deed with my name on it. I stood in the empty downstairs unit and whispered, "You did it, man," to myself like I was narrating a documentary about moderately successful HVAC technicians. Then I got to work. Patched drywall. Painted walls. Fixed the porch so it stopped threatening to execute people. My neighbor Frank, older guy, retired postal worker, drank coffee like it was a competitive sport, stopped by while I was replacing a mailbox. "You the new owner?" he asked. "Yeah, just closed." Good. The last landlord was running an unlicensed daycare and a candle business out of both units. Place smelled like cinnamon and legal liability. I laughed. "I'm just gonna rent it out. Nothing weird." "You're already my favorite landlord," Frank said. The plan was simple. Rent the top unit, live in the bottom one. Build equity. Be the kind of landlord who actually fixes things when tenants ask, instead of pretending the email didn't come through. For 3 weeks, that's exactly what I did. Then I got a text from my mom. "Family dinner Sunday, 5 p.m., don't be late." 3 exclamation points and a heart emoji. That's how I knew something was wrong. My family doesn't do casual dinners. We do strategic summits disguised as lasagna. But I went because I'm stupid and still had this tiny hope that maybe, just maybe, they actually wanted to see me. Spoiler, they didn't. Sunday came, I showed up at 5:03 p.m., fashionably late by 3 minutes because I have boundaries now. Apparently, Mom opened the door wearing an apron that said, "Blessed and stressed," in cursive font that looked like it was having a mental breakdown. "Josh, you're here." She hugged me like I'd returned from war instead of driving 11 minutes across town. Inside, the whole crew was assembled. Dad is in his recliner, Brandon and Melissa are on the couch. The twins were watching iPads with the volume inexplicably turned all the way up. "Hey, man," Brandon said, not getting up. "Hey." Melissa gave me a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Good to see you, Josh." Dinner started with the usual script. Mom brought out a casserole that looked like it had been assembled by a committee. Dad asked Brandon about work. Brandon talked for 15 minutes about a project at his marketing firm that sounded fake, but probably wasn't. Nobody asked me about work, which was fine. I'd stopped expecting it. Then Mom brought out the pie. That's when I knew. Pie means something's about to happen. Pie is the diplomatic dessert, the peace treaty, the "we need you to do something and we're softening you up first" food. "So, Josh," Mom said, cutting slices with surgical precision, "what have you been up to lately?" I paused. This was a trap. I could feel it. Just working, staying busy. "Anything new? Exciting developments?" She smiled like a prosecutor who already knows the answer. I shrugged. "Not really." Dad cleared his throat. "The official Morrison family signal for, 'We're about to ask you for something.'" "Actually," Dad said, "Brandon and Melissa are going through a bit of a transition." I looked at Brandon. "You guys okay?" "Oh, we're fine," Melissa said quickly. "It's just, our lease is up, and the new place we wanted isn't ready yet, so we're kind of in between." "In between," I repeated. "For like 6 weeks," Brandon added, 2 months max." I felt my stomach drop. "And we heard," Mom said, cutting in with that voice she uses when she's about to ask something unreasonable and pretend it's normal, "that you bought a place?" Silence. I stared at her. "How did you—" "Derek mentioned it," Dad said. "Ran into him at Home Depot. Said you bought a duplex?" I made a mental note to murder Derek. Slowly, with a dull wrench. "Yeah," I said carefully. "I did." "That's wonderful." Mom clapped her hands together like I'd just announced I'd cured a disease. "We're so proud of you." Proud. After 2 years of silence, after never asking how I was saving or what I was working toward. Now they were proud. "So we were thinking," Melissa said, leaning forward, "maybe we could stay with you, just temporarily, until our place is ready." I blinked. "Stay with me." "In the duplex," Brandon added. "You've got 2 units, right? We'd take one. You'd barely notice us." "I'd barely notice a family of 4 and whatever loud toys those kids have?" "They're very well behaved," Melissa said, which was a lie. I'd been to their house. "Those kids were feral." Mom reached across the table and touched my hand. "It would mean so much to us, family helping family." Ah, there it was. The guilt card. The family means you do things you don't want to do. Speech. I pulled my hand back. "Both units are spoken for," I said. Mom blinked. "What?" "I've got tenants signed leases. They're moving in next week." This was technically a lie. I'd posted the listings that morning. But I'd be damned if I was giving Brandon and Melissa a rent-free crash pad in the property I'd worked 2 years to afford. "Oh," Melissa said, her face doing that thing where disappointment and anger have a baby. "That's unexpected." "Why didn't you tell us you were buying?" Mom asked, and now her voice had an edge. "We could have helped. We could have been part of it." "I didn't need help." "But we're family," Dad said. "You should have said something." I looked around the table at Brandon, who'd never once asked how I was doing. At Melissa, who forgot my birthday 3 years in a row. At my parents, who put Brandon's kindergarten art on the fridge and my college degree in a drawer. "I didn't think it would matter," I said. The table went quiet. Brandon shifted uncomfortably. "Look, man, if there's any way—" "There's not." "We'd pay rent," Melissa tried. "You just said you're in between places, you don't have money for rent." Her face flushed. "We have some money." "Then get a hotel." Mom gasped like I'd suggested they live in a dumpster. "Joshua Michael Morrison. That is not how we talk to family." "You're right," I said, standing up. "Family should probably know when someone buys a house. Family should probably ask how someone's doing before they need a favor. Family should probably not forget about someone until they're useful." I grabbed my jacket. "Where are you going?" Dad asked. "Home to my duplex that I bought by myself. That you didn't know about because nobody asked." I walked to the door. "Josh, wait." Mom started. Thanks for dinner, I said. The pie was good. Then I left. Drove home. Sat in my driveway for 10 minutes just breathing. Then I went inside, opened my laptop, and checked my rental listings. 3 applications already. By the end of the week, I had tenants. Claire, a nurse who worked nights at the hospital. Quiet. Paid first and last month up front. Baking cookies as a hobby. Gerald, a high school math teacher going through a divorce. Needed a fresh start. Paid in cashier's checks and once brought me homemade baklava because the grocery store kind is an insult to phyllo dough. They were perfect. More importantly, they weren't Brandon. 2 days after I signed their leases, I got a text from Mom. We need to talk. I didn't respond. She called. I didn't answer. Brandon texted, Dude, seriously? I muted the conversation. Then Frank knocked on my door. Heads up, he said. White SUV's been driving by really slow. Circled the block 3 times yesterday. My parents, I said. Figured. They look like they're planning a heist. I laughed despite myself. Thanks for the intel. Anytime. Also, your upstairs tenant made brownies. She left you some by your door. I found them that evening. A plate of brownies with a note. Thanks for the quick turnaround on the bathroom sink. Claire. I sat on my porch, ate a brownie, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. My phone buzzed. Family group chat. Mom. Josh, we're very disappointed. This isn't how family treats each other. Brandon. You could have at least tried to help us out. Melissa. Guess we know where we stand. I stared at the messages. Then I typed one sentence. You knew where I stood for 30 years. You just didn't care until you needed something. I hit send. Then I muted the chat, finished my brownie, and went inside. To my duplex that I'd built without them. The family group chat went nuclear for exactly 48 hours. I can't believe you're choosing strangers over your own brother. Brandon. Real mature, Josh. Melissa. We have children, but I guess that doesn't matter to you. Dad. Very disappointed in this behavior. I didn't respond to any of it. Just watched the messages pile up like a train wreck I was observing from a safe distance. Then, on day 3, Frank knocked on my door. They're back, he said, sipping coffee from a mug that said, I'm not retired. I'm a professional grandpa. The white SUV? Yep. Been parked across the street for 20 minutes. Your mom's got binoculars. You're kidding. I am not. She's doing that thing where she pretends to look at birds, but she's clearly watching your front door. I walked to the window and peeked through the blinds. Sure enough, Mom's SUV parked like a stakeout vehicle. I could see her in the passenger seat, binoculars aimed directly at my porch. Dad was in the driver's seat, eating what looked like a sandwich. This is insane, I muttered. You want me to go talk to them? Frank offered. I can be very intimidating when I want to be. I once made a Jehovah's Witness cry. Tempting, but no, let them sit. Frank grinned. I like your style, kid. An hour later, Claire came home from her shift at the hospital. I watched from the window as she walked up to the porch, keys in hand, looking exhausted. Mom's binoculars immediately swiveled to track her. Claire unlocked the upstairs unit and went inside, completely unaware she was being surveilled by a woman who once called the cops on a teenager for skateboarding. Too close to her mailbox. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Mom. I let it ring. Voicemail. She called again. Voicemail. Then Brandon called voicemail. Then a text from Mom. We saw someone go into your duplex. You lied about having tenants. I typed back, I have 2 tenants. You just saw one. The other one teaches calculus and makes baklava. Neither of them is Brandon. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Mom. We need to talk about this face to face. Me. No thanks. I'm good. Mom. Joshua. I am your mother. Me. And I'm your son who you forgot about until you needed a favor. Funny how that works. I turned my phone off after that. That evening, Gerald knocked on my door holding a Tupperware container. Made too much moussaka, he said. Figured you might want some. You didn't have to do that. I know. But you fixed my garbage disposal in under an hour and didn't charge me extra. That deserves moussaka. I took the container. It was still warm. Thanks, man. Also, Gerald added, there's a woman parked across the street taking photos of the building with her phone. Thought you should know. I sighed. That's my mom. Gerald blinked. Oh, want me to? No, it's fine. She'll get bored eventually. If you say so, but for the record, that's some next-level surveillance energy. He wasn't wrong. Mom's SUV stayed parked there until 9 p.m., then finally drove away. Frank texted me, "The eagle has left the nest." I repeat, the eagle has left the nest. I replied, "You're enjoying this way too much." Frank, I'm retired and bored. This is the most entertainment I've had since the raccoon incident of 2019. I didn't ask about the raccoon incident. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. All from Dad. No voicemails. Just calls. Starting at 6:47 a.m. I called him back at 9:30 after coffee. Finally, he answered, "We need to talk." About what? About you being unreasonable. I'm unreasonable because I won't let Brandon live in my duplex rent-free? He's your brother. And? I'm his brother too. When's the last time he helped me with anything? Silence. Exactly, I said. Look, I bought this place with my own money. I get to decide who lives here, and I decided on people who actually pay rent. Family doesn't charge family rent. Family also doesn't forget about family until they need something. But here we are. Dad made a noise like a frustrated walrus. Your mother is very upset. She'll survive. This isn't who you are. You're right. The old me would have said yes and let Brandon walk all over me. The new me has boundaries. You're gonna have to get used to that. I hung up. 2 days later, a letter arrived. Actual physical mail. Handwritten envelope. Mom's handwriting, the kind where every letter leans slightly to the right like it's trying to escape. I opened it standing in my kitchen, half expecting a guilt trip in cursive. I was right. Dear Josh, I've been thinking a lot about our conversation and I'm very hurt by how you've acted. Family is supposed to support each other no matter what. Your brother is going through a difficult time and instead of helping, you're being selfish. I don't know what happened to the sweet boy I raised, but I hope you'll find your way back to him. We've always been there for you, and this is how you repay us? I pray you'll reconsider. Love, Mom. I read it twice. Then I walked to my desk, opened my laptop, and designed something in Photoshop. Took me about 20 minutes. Then I drove to a print shop, paid $12, and had it printed and framed. The frame was simple. Black. Professional. Inside was a photo of my duplex. The front porch I'd fixed. The mailbox I'd replaced. The windows I'd cleaned. And across the bottom, in clean white text, "Built without you." I drove to my parents' house that afternoon. They weren't home. Perfect. I left the frame leaning against their front door. Then I drove away and didn't look back. That evening, my phone exploded. Mom, how dare you? Dad, this is incredibly disrespectful. Brandon, what is wrong with you? Melissa, you're being cruel. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I invited Claire and Gerald over for dinner on my back patio. Grilled burgers, drank beer. Gerald told a story about a student who tried to turn in a math test written entirely in emojis. Claire talked about a patient who'd tried to smuggle a pet lizard into the ICU. We laughed until our sides hurt. And I realized something. These people, my tenants, my neighbors, Frank with his ridiculous coffee mugs, they felt more like family than my actual family ever had. Because they showed up. They said thank you. They brought me moussaka and brownies and didn't expect anything in return except basic human decency. That was family. Everything else was just biology. The next morning, Frank knocked on my door holding a newspaper. You made the neighborhood Facebook group, he said, grinning. What? He showed me his phone. Someone had posted a photo of my duplex with the caption, "New landlord on Maple Street seems very responsible and kind. Fixed my fence last week without being asked." The comments were full of neighbors saying nice things. You're a local hero, Frank said. Better than the last landlord who once tried to charge me for a light bulb. I laughed. I'm just doing my job. Well, your family's missing out. Yeah, I said. They are. 1 week later, Melissa showed up at my door. Alone, no kids, no Brandon. Can we talk? She asked. I crossed my arms. About what? About how we messed up. I raised an eyebrow. Go on. She sighed. Brandon and I have been talking, and you're right. We took you for granted. We assumed you'd help because you always help. And that wasn't fair. No, it wasn't. We found a place, short-term rental. It's expensive, but we'll make it work. Good. Awkward silence. I'm sorry, Melissa said, for expecting you to fix our problem, for acting like you owed us something. I studied her face. She looked tired, genuine. I appreciate the apology, I said, but it doesn't change anything. I know, I just wanted you to know. She turned to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, Brandon's really struggling with this. He's not used to you saying no. Maybe he should get used to it. Melissa nodded slowly. Maybe he should. After she left, I sat on my porch with a beer and watched the sunset. My phone buzzed. Text from Frank. That's her? Yep. She apologized? Yep. You forgive her? Nope. Good man. I smiled and took a sip of my beer. For the first time in 30 years, I didn't feel guilty about putting myself first. 3 weeks of silence, no calls, no texts, no drive-bys from Mom's surveillance SUV. Just peace. Claire baked banana bread every Sunday and left me a loaf by my door. Gerald started a small garden in the backyard and grew tomatoes that he shared with both of us. Frank would stop by with coffee and neighborhood gossip that was 90% speculation and 10% truth. My duplex felt like an actual home. Not just a building I owned, but a place where people showed up for each other without keeping score. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, everything changed. I was replacing a kitchen faucet in the downstairs unit when I heard a knock. Firm, insistent. The kind of knock that says, I've been working up the courage for this. I opened the door. Brandon. He looked terrible. Unshaved. Wrinkled shirt. Eyes puffy like he'd been crying or allergic to accountability. Hard to tell. Behind him, parked at the curb, was a minivan I didn't recognize. Melissa was in the passenger seat staring straight ahead. 2 car seats in the back, both occupied by kids who looked like they'd been promised ice cream and then told it was canceled. Hey, Brandon said. What are you doing here? I needed to talk to you, face to face. I leaned against the doorframe. So talk. He glanced back at the minivan, then at me. Can I come in? No. He flinched. Come on, man. I drove all the way here. That's your problem, not mine. Brandon took a breath. The kind people take before they say something they've rehearsed. Look, I know we messed up. I know we took you for granted, and I'm sorry. Okay. Okay? He looked confused. That's it? What do you want me to say? You apologized. I heard you. Now what? Now? I don't know. I was hoping we could talk, work things out. There's nothing to work out. You needed a place. I said no. That's it. Brandon's jaw tightened. We're living in a motel, Josh. The kind with a vending machine that only takes quarters and a pool that looks like a crime scene. That sucks. That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? That I'll let you move in? I already told you no. Just for a few weeks. No. We'd pay rent. You said that last time. And I know for a fact you don't have rent money because Melissa told me you're staying in a short-term rental that's draining your savings. Brandon looked caught. She told you that? She apologized. Unlike you, who showed up here expecting me to fix your problem. I'm not expecting… Yes, you are. You drove here with your family in the car like some kind of emotional hostage situation. You thought if I saw the kids I'd fold. He didn't deny it. Here's the thing, Brandon, I said. I spent 30 years being the brother you forgot about. The one who didn't get birthday parties or family photos in the good frames. The one who fixed your sink and moved your furniture and helped you paint your house while you were too busy being the favorite. That's not, it is. And you know it. And now that I have something you want, suddenly you remember I exist. Brandon's face went red. I always knew you existed. Knowing and caring are two different things. Silence. Behind him, Melissa got out of the minivan. Walked up slowly. Brandon, we should go. Not yet. Brandon turned back to me. Look, I get it. We weren't great brothers, but we're family. That has to count for something. It doesn't. He stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. Family is people who show up, I said. Who remembers your birthday? Who asks how you're doing without needing something first? You're not family. You're just people I'm related to. Melissa touched Brandon's arm. Let's go. He's not going to change his mind. I can't believe you're being this cold, Brandon said, voice shaking. I'm not being cold. I'm being fair. You treated me like background noise for 30 years. Now I'm treating you the same way. So that's it? You're just done with us? I've been done for a while. You're just noticing now. Brandon looked at Melissa. She nodded toward the van. He turned back to me one more time. You're going to regret this. No, I said. I'm really not. They walked back to the minivan, got in, drove away. I closed the door. Stood there for a moment. Waited to feel guilty. Didn't. Instead, I felt lighter. Like I'd been carrying a backpack full of expectations I didn't ask for, and I'd finally put it down. That evening, Gerald knocked with 2 plates of spanakopita. Saw you had visitors, he said, handing me a plate. My brother. He looked upset. He was. I told him no. Gerald nodded slowly. Good for you. Boundaries are important. My ex-wife never understood that. Now she's my ex-wife. That tracks. We sat on the porch eating spanakopita while the sun went down. Frank wandered over with his evening coffee. Who was that in the minivan? He asked. My brother. The one who wanted to move in? Yep. What did you tell him? No. Frank grinned. I raised you well. You didn't raise me at all. Spiritually, I did. We all laughed, and it felt good. Real good. 2 days later, I got a text from Dad. Your mother is in bed crying because of what you said to Brandon. I hope you're happy. I stared at it for a long moment, then typed back, I'm not happy she's crying, but I'm not responsible for her feelings. Brandon's housing situation isn't my problem, it's his. Dad replied, You used to be such a kind person. Me. I still am. Just not to people who only care about me when they need something. He didn't respond after that. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I felt bad, I didn't, but because my brain wouldn't shut up. I kept replaying the conversation with Brandon, kept thinking about all the times I'd said yes when I should have said no, all the favors, all the free labor, all the, can you help me move, and can you fix this, and can you watch the kids, with no thank you, no reciprocation, no acknowledgement. I'd spent 30 years being convenient, and I was done. Around midnight, I got up and made tea. Sat on my porch in my pajamas like a divorced dad having a midlife crisis. Frank's light was still on across the street. He opened his door and walked over in his bathrobe. Can't sleep? He asked. Too much thinking. The brother thing? Yeah. Frank sat down on my porch step. You did the right thing, you know. How do you know? Because you're sitting here drinking tea instead of regretting it. If you'd made the wrong choice, you'd be on your 3rd beer and texting apologies. He had a point. My son did something similar, Frank said. Cut off his mother, my ex-wife, because she kept guilt-tripping him about money. Hasn't talked to her in 5 years. Do you think he's wrong? Nope. She was toxic. He's happier without her. Some people don't deserve access to your life just because you share DNA. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Thanks, Frank. Anytime, kid. Now go to bed. You look like a zombie. I did. And I slept better than I had in weeks. The next morning, Claire caught me on the way to my truck. Hey, Josh. I've got a friend looking for a place. She's a teacher, super responsible. Would she be a good fit for if either unit opens up? Both units are taken. I know. I mean for the future, in case Gerald or I move out. I thought about it. Yeah, have her send me her info. Cool. Also, I made cookies. They're by your door. You're the best tenant ever. I know, she said, grinning. As I drove to my first job of the day, I thought about how different my life looked now. A year ago, I was eating at Taco Bell alone in my truck, wondering if anyone would notice if I disappeared. Now I had tenants who baked me cookies, neighbors who checked in on me, a duplex I'd built with my own hands and my own money, and an angry family because I wouldn't let them take it. I smiled and turned up the radio. 1 week later, I was fixing Claire's bathroom sink when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I should. Hello? Josh? It's Melissa. I sighed. What do you want? I'm not calling to ask for anything, I wanted you to know we found a place. An apartment. It's small, but it's ours. We're moving in next week. Good. I'm happy for you. Are you? Yeah, I am. Silence. I really am sorry, she said, for how we treated you. For expecting you to fix everything. You deserved better. Yeah, I did. Do you think maybe someday we could try again? Not now, but eventually. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe, I said. But not anytime soon. And only if Brandon actually changes. Not just says he will. That's fair. Good luck with the apartment, I said. Thanks. And Josh? Yeah? For what it's worth, your duplex looks great. You did a good job. I smiled despite myself. Thanks. After we hung up, I finished fixing the sink and went back downstairs. Gerald was in the backyard harvesting tomatoes. Got a good crop this year, he said, handing me 3. Thanks, man. You good? You look thoughtful. Just thinking about family stuff. The brother? His wife. She apologized again. Said maybe someday we could reconnect. You believe her? I think she means it. Whether Brandon does is another question. Gerald nodded. Well, if they do change, you'll know. And if they don't, you've got us. He gestured around the backyard. At the duplex. At the home I'd built. Yeah, I said. I do. 1 year later, I'm standing in my backyard flipping burgers while Frank argues with Gerald about whether a hot dog is a sandwich. It's bread on 2 sides with filling in the middle, Frank insists. That's a sandwich. By that logic, a Pop-Tart is a sandwich, Gerald counters. A Pop-Tart is a sandwich. Claire walks over with a bowl of potato salad and shakes her head. You two are ridiculous. Tell Gerald he's wrong, Frank says. I'm staying out of this. She turns to me. How are the burgers? Almost done. Can you grab the cheese? Already on it. This is my life now. Arguments about sandwich taxonomy, backyard cookouts, people who show up because they want to, not because they're obligated. We're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of me buying the duplex. 23 people showed up. Neighbors I'd helped with random repairs. Claire's nurse friends. Gerald's former students who still call him Mr. K, even though they're adults now with mortgages and existential dread. Even the UPS guy stopped by. Apparently, word got around that I'm the good landlord. The bar was very low. At some point during dinner, Frank stands up with his beer and clinks his bottle with a fork like he's at a wedding. Speech time, he announces. Oh God, I mutter. Shut up, I'm being sentimental. He clears his throat. A year ago, this guy bought a duplex and had the audacity to actually maintain it. Revolutionary concept in this neighborhood. People laugh. But more importantly, Frank continues, he told his family to fuck off when they tried to take advantage of him. Frank, Claire gasps, laughing. What? I'm paraphrasing. Anyway, here's to Josh, the only landlord who doesn't pretend the leaky faucet will fix itself. Everyone raises their drinks. To Josh. I'm grinning like an idiot. Can't help it. Later, after most people have left and we're cleaning up, Gerald hands me a Tupperware container. What's this? Baklava. Made it this morning. You didn't have to do that. I know, but you fixed my garbage disposal at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday without charging me extra. That deserves baklava. It was leaking into the downstairs unit. I was protecting my investment. You also could have called a plumber and billed me. You didn't. He pats my shoulder. You're good people, Josh. After he goes inside, I'm sitting on the porch with the last beer from Frank's cooler when my phone buzzes. Unknown number. I almost ignore it. But curiosity is a disease. Hey, Josh. It's Brandon. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, and I get it. But I've been thinking a lot about what you said about how we treated you. And you were right. About all of it. I'm not asking for anything. Just wanted you to know. I'm sorry. Hope you're doing well. I read it 3 times. Part of me wants to feel vindicated, to screenshot it and send it to everyone who told me I was being too harsh. But mostly I just feel tired. I don't type a response. Don't delete it either. Just close the message and set my phone down. Maybe someday I'll respond. Maybe I won't. Right now, I don't have the energy to care. Frank wanders back over with 2 fresh beers. Saw you staring at your phone like it insulted your mother. Everything okay? Brandon texted, apologized. Huh, what did you say? Nothing yet? Good. Let him sit with it. Frank hands me a beer. You know what your problem is? I have a feeling you're about to tell me. You're too nice. Even when you're setting boundaries, you're polite about it. Is that bad? Nah, just means you're better than they deserve. He takes a sip. For what it's worth, I think you made the right call. All of it. The duplex, the boundaries, telling them no. Takes guts. Didn't feel like guts. Felt like survival. Same thing sometimes. We sit in comfortable silence. The kind you only get with people who don't need you to fill every gap in conversation. You ever regret it? I ask. Cutting off your ex-wife? Every day. I look at him, surprised. But only because I didn't do it sooner, he finishes with a grin. I laugh. Can't help it. The next morning, I wake up to a group text from Claire. Christmas party planning committee meeting tonight. 7 p.m. My place. Attendance mandatory. Gerald replies. There's a committee? Claire. There is now. Me. Do I get a vote? Claire. No, but you get cookies. Gerald. I'm in. Me. Same. This is what family looks like. I realize group texts about Christmas parties, bribes involving baked goods, people who give a shit without keeping score. That afternoon, I'm replacing a light switch in the hallway when I get an email notification. Mom. Subject. Thinking of you. I stare at it for a long moment. Debate opening it. Finally do. Hi, Josh. I saw your duplex on Google Maps the other day. I was just curious, not spying. It looks wonderful. You've always been good at fixing things. I know we haven't talked in a while. That's on us. All of us. We took you for granted, and I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to forgive us or come to Thanksgiving or anything like that. I just wanted you to know I think about you and I'm proud of what you've built. Love, Mom. It's shorter than I expected, less manipulative, almost genuine. I close the laptop without responding. Maybe later. Maybe never. Either way, I'm good. That evening, the Christmas party planning committee turns out to be me, Claire, and Gerald, sitting in Claire's living room eating pizza while she shows us a Pinterest board that looks like Martha Stewart had a mental breakdown. We're doing a white elephant gift exchange, Claire announces. What's the budget? Gerald asks. $20. And it has to be either useful or hilarious. No gift cards. What about useful and hilarious? I ask. Bonus points. We spend 2 hours planning a party that's 6 weeks away. It's ridiculous and over the top and exactly the kind of thing my actual family would have made fun of me for caring about. But this matters. When I get home that night, I finally respond to Brandon's text. Thanks for the apology. I appreciate it. Not ready to reconnect yet. Maybe someday. Take care. Short. Honest. No bullshit. He replies immediately. Understood. Doors open if you change your mind. I don't respond to that. Instead, I pull up the family group chat I left a year ago. Scroll through the messages I never read. There are dozens. Guilt trips at first. Then occasional hope you're well messages. Then nothing for months. The last message is from Dad, 3 weeks ago. Your mother misses you. I think about responding, about explaining one more time why I left, why I'm not coming back. But I don't owe them an explanation. I already gave them one. They just didn't like the answer. So I close the app, delete Brandon's number from my recent texts, and open the photo album on my phone. There's a picture from today's cookout. All of us are laughing. Gerald mid-bite of a burger. Claire is photobombing with a peace sign. Frank is in the background, holding 2 beers like a champion. I set it as my lock screen. Because that's my family now. The people who show up. Who brings potato salad and baklava? Who argue about sandwich philosophy and plan elaborate Christmas parties. The people who chose me when I had nothing but a duplex and a dream. I make myself tea, sit on the porch, and look at the building I bought with money I saved alone. The porch I fixed. The mailbox I installed. The home I built when everyone else thought I couldn't. My phone buzzes. Text from Frank. Stop thinking so loud I can hear you from across the street. Me. How do you even know I'm outside? Frank. I'm old and nosy. It's my superpower. Now go to bed. Me. Yes, Dad. Frank. Don't make me come over there. I laugh, finish my tea, and head inside. I fall asleep without wondering if I'm good enough because I already know the answer. I am. Always was. Just needed to find people who could see it.